Hi Nishant, we are live.
Hey, hi Hari.
Hi, thanks for joining, and thanks to the audience, whoever joins whenever they join. Today, as I see, there's no one watching us, but as the internet helps us to create the content and be available to the universe, right? So we tell our wishes to the universe, and we wait for them to uh, furnish this. So I'll take 2 minutes to talk about the project, how it started, how it's going, and how I'm going to evolve this. Then we'll continue this conversation. Okay.
Cool.
So, hi, I'm Hariom again. I have been doing these live candid conversations with product managers and product folks like myself, and maybe much better than myself. Right? I think I've been learning a lot in each conversation. So, some 35 days back, I started this project to talk to people like myself. I set up a goal to exactly meet at least 30 people. I started with this, basic thought. The second day of the project, basically, hype got, I think I would say my post got viral due to the event that some organization tried to collaborate with me for a particular role on these of their organization. So it went like they were asking me to interview for their role on live videos like these. So people started jumping on the project, right? They wanted to interview for this role, senior product manager with some esteemed organization. It went well. So it went like five, six people I had in my list, and they started interviewing. Then after talking to almost 50 people, I got a sense that serious product managers, the very senior product managers, right, are not really good with interested into doing it live. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
and now able to understand that some questions might be very uncomfortable. It's like, why did you leave that or so many organizations in last 5 years, right? Why did so many why can be, right? And they are some maybe uncomfortable for many people, but I feel like, I mean, that's the best way talking to your employer live, right? I even commented on someone's post yesterday that since you are hiring a PM, let's let you. I mean, let's do it live. Let's do a screening on maybe Twitter Spaces or YouTube Live. So though there was no response, but this is my new version coming out that I want to do it in a very authentic and candid way. This is who I am, right? So
Okay.
after talking to too many people, I pivoted from there. I broke that chain, and I opened the platform to very general people into product management, and I converted the interviews into basic debates and conversations. So now we'll be talking about journeys and stories and basic, and maybe learning about the depth of whatever we each other can teach us, right? So it went good. Now I'm like, there is something missing. So after completing like 35 days, I'm like, I have pivoted once from interviews to the debates model, right? But something is like, the value addition for the participant seem to be missing. It's like they, of course, they get to tell their stories, right? You people like who are joining as participants, they get to tell their wishes, what is that they aspire for, where they came from, what do they have for the industry. But again, some of them are like asking questions, what is there for me? So I have this new pivot coming up in this project, where I'll be talking to people again, but on a very specific agenda, where I am building a project by myself very publicly. So I'll be very clearly selling toys in my own way, uh, and brainstorming the ideas to speed up the execution of the project. This is going to be very much fun,
Okay.
because product managers are what we talk about, right? Are open thinkers, right? We are always open to think about whatever is possible. Do tell me what is possible. We'll try for the best case scenario.
Got it.
So I understand it is possible to make a revenue of, let's say, taking a number very clearly, like 3 lakh rupees in, let's say, 3 months. So I'm trying to find out the possibilities for them. But I'll be talking about that in some time. So it's been 5 minutes, and I'll be talking to myself only. Uh, so let's talk about you, Nishant. I'll give you 5, 10 minutes in uninterrupted. you are free to tell your stories and whatever you have for the industry and the world, please.
Sure. Thanks, Hari, for the brief intro about you and this project. Hi, everyone. This is Nishant. I am into product management space since last 3 years. We have completed 3 years. So I have been to different companies, mostly into the fintech background. That is my post MBA experience. Pre MBA, I worked with other startups like OYO, and I interned with ICICI Bank and all. So post MBA, it was with PhonePay, and now with a fintech startup called NovoPay. So, whole and soul, the open thinking point that Hari highlighted about, it's not always the best case scenario. We have to protect the worst edge case scenario that would be possible. So, in the fintech domain, if I say, if I go into the payment space, so it's, mostly if you deal with payments, day to day payments, making it simpler is as important as making it safer. So the risk mitigation, the fraudulent activities that are happening, the checks that we build on, and also keeping the UI UX simpler for the users. User base, maybe a B2C user, maybe a B2B user, but money is same for everyone, right? It matters. So that's what I take pride in, building both for the fintech companies, and mostly my area of expertise remain there. Though I am very open to all the verticals and domains and talk about anything that is there. So yeah, as we delve into the conversation and make it a debate or a conversational thing, I would rather speak up more. Currently, I just wanted to focus on the one that we conversed in the morning. I was asking Hari about how the structure of this conversation would be, and Hari was very clear and gave a candid thing that it could be just live. It's just nothing. We'll just start talking and that's it. So
Right.
let's continue. Yeah.
Sure. So I'll repeat my question, right? Because I've been doing this 10 times, 13th time now today, right? So this storytelling part,
Yeah.
where
Story.
I tried to define the very first question very clearly, but I maybe did not describe it. It's like, how did tell me about your journey of becoming a product manager,
Yeah.
how
Sure.
you started, you wanted to be a product manager when you, and maybe today it's like, what are the scale of the aspirations you are looking forward to, like that, maybe
Correct.
that, right?
So how I started is it was in when I started there was no such uh, hype of being a PM, and it just went on for last, let's say, 2 3 years. That 2 years maybe that has built upon the PMs and all product manager. Though those work were done by minuscule features, it's like developers can do a piece of that work, QA can do the piece of work that work, DevOps and project manager being in the Scrum Agile thing, that all went into. But yes, how we dealt in is that MBA helped me in going into this managerial position. Earlier I was a management trainee. Then we, in management training process, we were given different stint with different verticals, different domains of the company, let's say business development, let's say marketing, and then into product management and all the spheres. So when we had a exposure to the whole soul process of how a company operates, how the CEO thinks, how, let's say, each domain or vertical head sticks to the profitability or the core objective of the vertical, it was clear that I am best suited for something which can collaborate with different verticals. I'm not going into the basics of what we say as business, UX, and tech, the sphere. That there's nothing like that. But yes, that's how my skills means inside. I had a feeling, yeah, I could do this best, and obviously company was aligned on that, and they gave a try. Like we were on the learning phase. It's not about contributing to the company. So they just gave a try, and they were fortunately successful products that went live. And I can also say that the demand in the market in at that time, exactly COVID and others, was high, and there was a rampage of the user base that grew in that product. So that's mostly. But there are two stories that I can think of right now in the previous organizations, not naming it, that how, what exactly happened, what are the difficulties that I faced during this, because this was totally new for me and totally new for some organizations also, that how this particular thing would operate during work from home and work from office case. One thing was we had risk mitigation thing that we built, a flow, and for that there were many stakeholders assigned. One stakeholder being a major bank, private bank in India. So it was all through mails. their system and our systems used to collide every time because we were very flexible. We were interacting on WhatsApp, we were interacting over Google Meet, and it was restricted there. So they had strict timings and pre-scheduled meets. We were like jumping into any time as a startup. So what happened is we started building the product. We took their notion, like, yeah, it's right. We can show them a demo and we can start it because it was like we need a sign off from them. But to start it, we got an agreement done. But at the end of the thing, before the sign off, we were in the demo phase. We were almost ready, like we were on the pre-prod, and I missed it personally to mail them and confirm that this is the date that we are going live. But because I said it was a week, I didn't mention exact date. So in that period of time, the person who was authorized to give the sign off was on leave, and for that we extended our go live date for more than a week. And that was hampered, that the whole blame came on me about that you didn't presume that you had presumed that it would be there and over mail, but you didn't connect with them and all those things. So internally we get so much burdened about the tech part and the product part. We miss the human touch there, that we should keep in others informed so that we get aligned. It's, after all, it's humans, right? We are building products for them. So that was a major kick that got through when in the initial phase, because and that was actually a great thing. Everyone, I came into the limelight, though how it is, everyone knew this, and I had interacted more with those CXOs and all. So it was great. This is one part of the story where I thought, okay, the mail, simple Gmail could have been such a revolution here. We didn't care much to Gmails and all. So that was a learning for me. And then everything went smooth, and they also suggested, okay, there's a minor change in a DB related thing, but it worked on. It went successfully. That was one part of the story where I learned. Second, we had an internal thing, like we were struggling for last two sprints, if I name it, let's say a month, for developing something on onboarding phase of the onboarding flow of the user base, our retailer user base. So let's say we are onboarding a retailer, and we have this old traditional type of onboarding with many documentations upload and all those, and we were simplifying it with all the new APIs that are there, like OKYCs and face compare and everything, and OCRs and all. So we just have to click and it will go on in simple 5 to 6 clicks max. So we were, at that time we had an attrition issue, and we had one Android developer, and this flow was meant to first go live on Android and then come on the web. So in this Android phase, what I was doing is I was overloading the Android developer with the requirements, how it can be, done with more simpler UX, and the user base would have the flexibility. And obviously, the engineering manager, the project manager, and my manager, CTOs, and all, they were aligned to it. But when they saw this delay, they asked me, "Nishant, why is it getting delayed?" The basic reason I can open is we just have one Android developer and is overburdened with other priority tasks. Let's say some hot fixes or some prod bugs that comes up. But so he said, okay, why don't you think there's a one Android developer, 50% of his time per day he can give to your project or that you are building, because that is an upcoming thing. Still, it is going on. There's no harm. We have a long lengthen flow, let's say, and we are going to shorten it. The next things are the prod bugs which are at P0 priority. So he has to, or he or she has to resolve it at the same some periodic hours that is there. So what is your case? How would you make it simpler? So we had a discussion, and then the CTO calls me up after the discussion that all your points are valid. What you said, you wanted this way. This is how the user would also want it. But Nishan, as a company, we also should see how our resources are. We shouldn't burden them with that. So let's think for a certain time. Let's say now we are getting product bugs, or not. We are not able to get a Android developer in 1 2 months. Someone would be joining the team. So for now, if you want this project to be done, because it is already more than a halfway built up, why don't you think of a web view? What about a web view? We'll just click a link on the app and it will go, and it will, in the PHP, it can create a web view rather than building it native. So I was like, I never thought of it. Means no one suggested, no one should suggest, you should suggest this. So I was like, okay, it's great. So web view was built in just 4 days, and it has many restrictions, it has many kind of thing, but it went on. And retailers were least bothered about the web view. They didn't wanted a classy app like we have other fintechs app, great and all. They don't wanted that. They wanted the business to run smoothly. That's it. And it would flow in. So it was great. It was like it was solved. And till now, we are not ready with the native, and we don't want it. It was an unnecessary effort that we were thinking, because in sometimes when I feel like there's not a problem. What we find is every day reading into the stuffs, going into YouTube videos, checking all the articles there out, we think we can find a solution for a problem which actually doesn't exist.
Right.
Or we'll create a problem statement and give it a more luxury solution which is not needed for currently for the people here. That's our thought, because we have, let's say, grown up like this, or we live in this metros. We see that, yeah, this can be a solution, this looks great, this looks classy and all. So this all change the ideology, how I think as a product manager, how I should actually go to the root cause level, grassroots level, and find the root cause of the statements and actually think, is this needed, what I'm thinking.
Right.
It's my
Right.
thought. It may fascinate many others. That's fine,
Right.
but it's all inside this glass door, having AC on and building the strategy in the ground. Is this needed in the Scotchy sun? If someone enters into the retail shop, does he or she need this apart from their main item? Let's say they go to the grocery, whatever they want to build, because this is the last end of a buying process, the checkout experience. So how would it matter if in so that was great. So these are the two stories I wanted to share, because initial build up phase of a product manager, they should keep in mind that why we are building this, and actually is it needed or not. That
Right.
what concept, how concept would come later. For me, it's as simple as that.
Interesting. Uh, I'm, I wanted to check if there is a comment on YouTube, but currently there is no. So there is one viewer also. Thanks to whoever that is. So they can also share their questions in comments if possible. We'll be able to take that. So Nishant, I loved your storytelling and the the moment of excitement. You kept it going until the end. All your stories you shared, so, and I loved the story itself. It's like uh, the way you said it, right?
Yeah,
Do they need it or not, right? And
correct.
it's like the end part if they'll decide it, but I have some questions for you on that
Sure, sure.
format, right? Before that, so the first story you told me, right, there
Okay.
you actually maybe the second one where you
The first was with the bank. Sorry, yeah, the first was with the bank,
the
not
web
including
app,
the
web,
stakeholders.
web app,
Second,
right?
second was with the web app and the
Right. So
Android.
in that, now there lot of things come into the picture, right? You did not look at one of the perspective and possibility. That was
Correct,
one possibility.
correct,
There are 100 other possibilities although you did care about, right? And and I don't know. So prioritization, communication, there are a lot of things that are happening at the same time. A lot of
correct.
things are happening. Day-to-day activities. There is a lot of chaos. But there was one possibility where it was possible to do that with a very minimal cost.
Yeah,
Let's say,
that's
right?
what. Yeah, yeah,
You can call it a cost in the form of financial also, because at the end that's the cost we are talking about. But
correct. Yes,
number of hours spent by anyone, you
I
and the
agree.
development
Yes,
or testing or any other thing, that's the cost. And that was done in 4 days, then everything changed. And that
mhm.
is the format is the app is still in same format, right?
Yeah,
So
we are in the same format currently.
okay, now let's talk about some fintech core. So let me tell you a short story about my experience into fintech. Okay,
Sure.
this is a case where I, in my first time in my career, I got a chance to join Pine Labs, the industry leaders into fintech. Okay, and that was the time of remote work. So no one was going to work in 2021, right? Uh, so no one was going office. We were all looking for work, and there was a lot of chaos because everybody was trying to structure themselves also. So, and I got that opportunity also in a very new, I would say, out of the fashion way. So the hiring manager posted a job on Twitter. I reached out. They said, we had a conversation at 8 a.m. early in the morning. So
Right.
the head of product from Pine Labs talks to me at 8 a.m. says, okay, let's talk. Tell me your story. I was like, this is going to be fun. So I told my story. I sold my story. I joined them in 10, 20 days, I think. Then it went well. I to some extent, I think I was trying to add some value. So my knowledge into fintech was zero, right? I don't know where the APIs are calling, what regulations we are talking about, what might be all dependencies. So before that, because why that was overwhelming for me, because I would say before that I had worked on only teams with size of 20, 30.
Right.
So our operations and dependencies were used to be very limited, right? The operation, the processes, right, I had seen in my career was not that scale. I was like here and they were like there. I could not support them anyway. And there's a learning curve required to support at that stage. So what happened is that the the gap, right? The learning of fintech and supporting them, and they helping me to bring myself to their level was like because remote, right? There was
Correct.
chaos of millions of dollars of every day. There was a loss of business, I would say.
Correct.
Um,
Yes. Financial
so,
loss.
right.
Yeah.
So I was like, I will be able to take it up, one step at a time. I tried to do everything I could, right? I was trying to learn the basics of payments, but it was slow. I would say I had no people to talk to. It's like two other product managers, let's say, I was able to talk, and that's it. And they are also busy in their own deliveries that they don't have time to ask me, dude, how are you doing? And that was the moment in my life when I was like about to become a father. So there were a lot of things happening, questions and answers, and so again I was kind of I'm happy to say, clearly it's like, I was asked to leave. Right? It happened that way.
Okay.
So my fintech journey. I even started writing because that was a phase of my life where I felt like, now the money is most important part. I will, at least in my career from this day, I will focus more on financial aspects of the life also, where I have to invest in long term careers of my child also, right?
Yeah.
uh, but my dreams and my thoughts were like at very different level, at least at Pine Labs level.
Right.
So that was my fintech journey. So now I wanted to talk to you about fintech, right? You have been into fintech since like how long time?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Great. So in 6 months, I could not understand the ABC. And you said you wanted to talk about some nuances of the core of fintech, right? So
Mm.
I will ask you maybe some clear question. You can tell your thoughts in that way, right? What
Just
are the things that
trying to.
industry?
Sorry,
Sure.
I just wanted to say you said the processes and the dependencies of Pine Labs and the startup that we're working. So I have been into those my friends and all colleagues into those discussions. Actually, in a small startup, what I feel is there is no clear dependencies. Rather, it overlaps everything everyone does, and there is
Right. Right.
and that is how people should work to grow.
Hmm.
Once the processes are defined, right, then make it's for making life easier. If that
Right.
process becomes a hurdle in a journey, let's say delays something, then that process should be removed. So
Hmm.
it was better on your part. What I feel, it is not like there. It's like you were here and you should have come down. So that didn't happen, and that's great for you.
Of course. I mean, so I mean, I'm not going to telling a lot of stories because I have
Yes, sir.
like in the last 13 years, I can talk about each startup I worked with maybe for hours, very long time. Um, so I'll be doing that in these sessions in past, right? But you tell me some nuances of fintech ecosystem that the industry is not taking care of right now. And you said like a new perspective. There's a quick low hanging fruit, let's say, and but somebody is not taking care of it right now, like that.
Correct. So I'll give an instance of in that area of expertise that you said, low hanging fruit, let's say.
Right.
Mostly I worked with products of NPCI. Correct. There is the UPI is a product of NPCI. The
Yeah.
AEPS, Aadhaar Enabled Payment Service, is a product of NPCI.
Right.
DMT, that is domestic money transfer, that is a product of NPCI. And there are several other products, BPPS and all. So what happens is, let's say in a bucket of some um, 30,000 crore transactions in some domain in a month within some players in India. mostly countable figures. If there's a fraud of some a lakh of rupees, that comes in the low hanging fruit. People would avoid that in the race of growing bigger.
Right. Okay.
And what happens is, without identifying the fraud, let's say the market grew and the competitors were least bothered about, or the players in the market were least bothered about that fraud. Even NPCI, let's say, have neglected it, or by chance didn't come to it because it was a duty of a company to, file the same, that it has been, this was not
Right.
accounted for or something. It went through that pipeline, let's say.
Right.
That grows, and the stakeholders involved, let's say the users that have found a loophole in the system, that word spreads faster. And within a year, that 1 lakh could grow into few crores, let's say 10 crores or something. And
Hmm.
then where that's the point where everyone is now what to
Alarm.
do. And yeah, alarm, and building, closing that loophole, or again, reviving the whole thing would take a lot more effort, because it has to be changed in whole system, not only through NPCI, but it has to be implemented through banks, again through the PSPs, let's say the payment service providers, or the business correspondents, all the stakeholders. In every each and every doesn't have a unified system, right? They have their own systems, they have their own databases, they have their own processors, everything was defined. Now everything, to change everything, it needs permissions, it needs a lot more effort, internal resources, and that is a cost. That is a very additional, very, I would say, stringent cost rather than the fraud what we have happening. So how, as instance, I'll explain about, how. I'll not name exactly what product it was. I'll just tell about how the fraud happened and how it was neglected, and where did we were alarmed to do this, and how we did it. As of now, we have not killed
Sure.
the fraud, but we have restricted it to around, I can say, if I can give a figure, around 87 to 90%, let's say, we have restricted the fraud. So there was a payment product in which Aadhaar was used as an identifier of a person. They were
Sure.
not giving the bank account, they would give the Aadhaar and the IFSC code, and we will fetch the bank account. It's mostly in the tier 2, tier 3, tier 3 and tier 4 cities of India. How this payment works in offline cash format, they have to go to a retail shop and all. And there in the payment process, they have to also give the, while the payment is done, they have to give the biometric, so that the double check happens, that the Aadhaar and the biometric data matches. And none of the data, Aadhaar or biometric, is stored by any of the PSPs. We are not allowed to store any data. It has to be just passed on to the bank. Bank also doesn't store it. They pass it on to the UIDAI, the
Correct.
central authority. From there in the API, the response that comes is true false. Let's say yes or no. It matches or it doesn't matches. That's it. That is passed on to us. Now, what happened is, in some parts of India, uh, in few parts of India, like we had that Jamtara thing, right? Netflix showed it. So this would be, I think in the future this would come in some of the series in few parts, similar parts of India. There was a loophole in this. What happened is, people colluded with some of the authorities, or let's say they were having fingerprints of uh, people who are already dead, let's say. But we have the register, we have everything name, and nothing has been removed till now. And some people also were, have a collusion with the business persons or the retailers who are there, let's say. So that terminology we use is fusion fingerprints. We can scan another fingerprint and we can just put it. If we have the Aadhaar number and the fingerprint of the person, that's done. But it's not the same person. Or else, let's say, if it's the same person, you are going to a shop to withdraw money or something, and you give your Aadhaar number and fingerprint, and after a few days, you deny that you were there. So the process now is, as a proof, what the authorities want is a register, a blank, a paper. It's like a notebook with rows and columns, a normal register where date and time would be written by the retailer, name of the customer, and the amount withdrawn. If that is given as a proof, and it would be a like streamline flow, there'll be continuous payment. So every or payment timings would be there, so they can recheck that was it actually done by seeing the logs. So
Right.
in the 21st century, this was the process. So
Hmm.
that can be watched by anyone. I can make a backdated history and all. So that didn't work out. What people did is, people started bringing this fingerprints. I won't name from where they would
Fine.
bring this. fingerprints and all. And that grew to some crores, few crores in some months. Like we ourselves had seen some 48 to 49 crores in just 6 months. It was
That
like,
was due to loans or something?
this is not loans, this is just withdrawal, cash withdrawal
Withdrawal
through.
from somebody
Yes.
else's account.
Yes, yes. So
Uh,
now this was alarming situation. Bank knew it, we knew it. We told the bank. Bank said you are the whole and soul of your retailer. You have onboarded them, so you better check, put a check, and do whatever you can. The flow remains the same because the flow is of a central authority. That's not going to be changed as of now. So additional requirements and all, and I had a direct interaction with the CXO people there. Ki, why are we taking up this? Because
hmm,
we may be earning a lot more if
hmm,
we say it in a 6 months time period. We are neglecting this, but this would grow to a huge thing. Then we had a discussion. Okay, let's put some focus here, because that was something, if regulations are there, then this authority that guides
hmm.
us would obviously mend it. But
Right.
we started, let's we do it something, and our
Hmm.
CEO was very impressed. Like he wanted to build a system and showcase it to them so that everybody in the market can follow the same. So that
Right.
was a proactive nature that he always keeps in mind. Uh, we started off building a process where we can have the face recorded, the face points and all of the customer who's coming to do the fraud, let's say in each transactions, and also have the Aadhaar details. Let's say what is that matching the correct one, yes or no. Rather, we encrypt it, so we have the response from the authority that yes, this Aadhaar is matching or not, biometric is matching or not. Along with that, we have an additional check of photo, face, selfie, and that thing was, we think it as okay, that's an additional photo, we have it in a transaction logs just to have a record and check that okay, we can at least give as a proof to when lodging an FIR or something. But for every transaction, let's say in a minute in India, this transaction
Right.
happen every transaction, adding one more photo, which would be as of size, if you can consider just 100 KB also, for
Right.
much storage capacity and for what date we have to store, because it can be a year later the fraud
You.
jumps in and we have
Right.
to give exactly that thing. And moreover, in the flow, why anyone, if the competitor, if the other players don't do it and we are the first mover, this will be a business loss to us. Someone will go because they have an easier flow, they don't the people are not easily acceptable to capture
Right.
the photo, give their photo, someone wanting their photo, why would you want the photo? There's no
Right.
regulations around that,
Right.
why you take the photo during a transaction. So you imagine you being in a retail shop, you in a kirana store or
Of
some
course. I know.
supermarket. Yeah, while giving phone number also people ask, and if they ask can we take a photo with payment, why would you
Dude,
want my photo?
ऐसे ही चाहिए.
The same thing, happened, and but we just did a pilot in few regions where the cohort, where we found out the frauds were too high, and it came out that the authority accepted this. It went on. We have reduced it because we cannot implement it pan India. The business will just, from let's say 10x, it will go down to X. That's gone. So in that pilot phase, what we faced it, there was a fear. The people who colluded, because let's say people in someone colluded and they, withdraw money from another account, the person's account which was done a fraud, he belongs to Madhya Pradesh. He was in Maharashtra in a hospital bed when the investigation happened, just a case. The fraud was done in Bihar. Correct. So how this three state polices would, means police stations and all getting into that, all these constituencies and all the state borders. So how was this possible event? How did they get the data and how was it collusion happened? So this was like normal. Okay, yeah, this is one kind of fraud, but one is like you doing the withdrawal yourself, and then you are saying no, I have not done the withdrawal. Now it's like we get a buffer days of submitting that register. If we don't submit that register, let's say the retailer didn't have the record of that register, then we have to refund back the money. So this was a basic thing that we are losing out. So for this also, when we had this register, we wanted that the authorities wanted a transaction log, basically the complete transaction history. Along with that, we are adding a photo and send it. If he or she is not the same guy or the girl, then it would not be in the photo. That's it. So we started off this, and this is starting to kick off as of now, but with a business uh,
Case.
backslash, yeah. And it is easier to have this now in the photo thing. One is, we get the liveliness of the photo. Now in Android, when you do, or in iOS, in mobile, we have integrated with the SDK, so we have the liveliness check. In web, it was an inbuilt native thing to get the liveliness thing. So initially we didn't implement the liveliness, and we started the pilot. So people used to have someone's photo, like a picture, and they would show in front of the camera and take the photo. May
Hmm.
not be a living being. Correct. So that also came up, and there were several other processes. So that slowly we are just figuring it out, that how we have to cleanse this thing and kill this fraud, because this is going to be huge in future.
Sure. So I'm still trying to grab this. So you have already added a picture in the
Yeah,
process of making a transaction.
correct.
Okay. Where does it happen
So
currently?
it
Odisha.
happens in major parts of Bihar, Jharkhand, and
Acha. And
nearby.
people are agreeing and doing that. Like,
We can see.
is there backlash? I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, we saw a drawback of 30% in the first month, in the
Okay.
fall of transactions.
Okay.
But slowly, when that's a leaky bucket, people are going out. What we felt is, what we discussed is fine. The 30%, say, let's say half of it, 15% were fraudsters. Fraudsters are leaving us. That's fine. Those who want to do fraud, they're not giving. Those who actually want to do transaction, and they need it at the time, because this is, you should know about the tier 3 and tier 4 market, where UPI, let's say, is not that prevalent. No, most of the people don't have smartphones, let's say, or are not that tech savvy. The next generation is, but their parents and all, they are not, but they want money in hand. Retail shops, they still believe in retail shops, and they still go to make recharges in retail shops and all. For me, it was hard to digest, because when I came from a fintech company, yeah, you with a great user base. But then when I digested this thing, that okay, this also happens, and it has such a bigger market space, so people are still doing it. There's a great market, and also NPCI is promoting this BC, like business correspondents, uh, products through this. So how this happened, in those areas, we felt the same. It is like fraudsters leaving us. Then now we see that other players are forced to implement the same, and overall it will be, if everyone is there in the same field, same page, people have to submit, people have to do the same thing. It won't create a ruckus, but yes, in the initial days there will be a hue and cry, and people would switch. So that was acceptable to us in those parts.
So even if I look at it as a like, product manager by myself, right? What what I understand and what you're doing currently is that to authenticate a transaction, right? You are suggesting that during each transaction, the user's picture will be verified
Correct.
lively, right?
Correct.
That's what is the suggestion you have actually implemented that.
Yeah, we have this face compare API, and we do it with the face points and all, along with Aadhaar KYC. That is all there
Yeah.
already existing.
So,
But
what were other alternatives that you did not, you thought but you are not implemented?
correct. So the best alternative, without any photo, without any database entry change, would be just the Aadhaar match.
Right.
Correct.
Which is
But
which
we are
is
not
there in the
authorized
industry
to do it,
already.
which is there with, let's say, if the fingerprint and Aadhaar is matching, and still there is a fraud, and we are being charged for the same.
Right.
Correct. So we cannot put an additional check of Aadhaar match, because we don't have those data, and we
Right.
are not authorized to store that data. So that
Right.
would be a best thing, but that was already there in process, which didn't matter to these fraudsters, like this frauds and all. For register was something that is there in the circular of NPCI, that is currently there. So that has to be changed. Currently, how we saw it, like, what else can be done. So one more thing was there. Uh, we would have appointed retailers with more quality checks and trust in those specific areas, rather than onboarding anyone for fulfilling the target. That was there. There will be some distributors or retailers who are with NovoPay, or let's say, but that would be, an intent kind of a thing. Technically, the only way I could think is about, having an additional field added and matching their face with the details that is already given, or stored, or passed on through the API.
Okay, so I have this question, right? I'm trying to get this with reference to other countries. Let's say, is this problem being faced by some other countries as well? Because, or maybe not because they don't have UPI.
Maybe because this what we operate in, this product is just in pan India, so it's not in currently outside India. So this is the market segment that we will be talking about.
So the curious case of a product manager where the exception is creating a lot of chaos, and we are supposed to take care of that, right?
Correct.
Uh,
As in other countries, it's not about just the payment that we talk about. Let's say UPI is not present. Many online channels are not present. They're still paying through cards and wallets, e-wallets, different. But also we have an Aadhaar system in place, right? The Aadhaar stack.
right, of
That's
course.
the best part of India. Other have a unique identification number, or they're recognized through their passports and other things. But somewhat like Aadhaar also is not built in foreign
I,
countries. So that would, that would have a full flow to be
right, right,
implemented.
right. So interesting to see because having the picture verification on each transaction sounds also like too much effort, right? For
Much
as a
fungus,
user
yes,
also.
correct. So what we did is we are not exactly, storing in the database. We have it in the cloud currently,
Sure.
like S3 in the logs and all, and memory, let's say. And whenever we are having just a link that is there. Whenever we get something, like we have for, let's say, 90 days, we are storing it and we are passing it on to the banks. Like this is what is the record. For any other cases that jumps up after a year, let's say this was the fraud and the data is needed, then we recollect it from the banks, because banks have huge databases. We don't have to bear the cost. So that was the agreement done. The cost thing, because that will hamper us, not the banks.
Sure. So let's try to break the chain of thoughts now. It's been some long time. It's
Cool,
been
cool.
42 minutes in the session, right? So I will try to understand your the journey in a format of it's like do you believe you have been lucky being into this uh, role and in this industry since some long time?
Lucky as in, yes, maybe in that phase, but for that, it's not about the YouTube videos or the books that I've read, I have trained. But yes, I got an opportunity because of the platform that was given to me during the MBA, and without having prior experience in product management, starting off like all most of the MBA graduates do as of now. Today, it being trendy stuff, the product manager. So
Sure.
yeah, I found so lucky as a life. Even I found myself as a lucky, being lively and being everywhere,
Sure.
living in.
Yeah, I think I was trying to understand your long, but maybe my question wasn't clear. So I'll tell you a little short story about my career journey. In short, right? I'll not go into depth. So I started my career back in 2011, where I was, in short, freelance web developer, and looking for opportunities from online platforms like Odesk. Suddenly a friend of mine came to me with a thought that you know the web development part, why don't we build something for ourselves? I was like, I don't know what you're trying to say, because until then I was not sure of what is a startup, what is a business. I don't know. I only know as a service I can be of service for somebody else, right?
Yeah.
So we started building something. We called it a platform for local creative businesses. Okay, we were building something like justdial.com, but just for the creative businesses. So dance, guitar, and music local trainers will have their subdomain under my domain, their own sub page under my website. Um, and I had an existing domain name which I called nothingelsematters.com. So it related to that passion based businesses with the nothing else matters that way. And interesting to realize that I realized few days back in 2012 I was able to introduce social networking in a content management system free of cost. Like I had to just install a plugin and I was able to introduce a feature as social networking as a feature in those Joomla, the content management system. The Jom Social was the name of the plugin. Of course, it was not available for free in the industry, so I
Okay.
had to use the hacked versions just to enable the social. Because in that 2012, everybody was building a social network. I was like, okay,
Correct.
my platform should also have a social network because it's a passion-based platform. We can talk about dancing, music, guitar, anything, right? We can do live sessions, whatever we do. So I was able to picture, to create a vision statement from there that we are building a platform for creative businesses. All these businesses will have their own social pages and will have a lot of engagement from there. I think the pitch to the investors was kind of vague because we were beginners. So their response was, um, "You're trying to build Google and everything under one domain." Maybe my pitch was that way. So they were like, "Why are you trying to compete with Google? Don't do that." And I was kind of literally shattered from there. So somebody at a authoritative level at that stage, they were like, "Look at Pinterest." That was a real comment.
Correct.
Look at Pinterest. They are enabling businesses to create their pages, their content. I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I'm the technology guy. I was building the websites at that phase. My friend
Okay.
was suggesting me what we should do, and I was doing that as a web developer only. I wasn't sure what is a business. But in
Okay.
that duration of building it, I understood the importance of looking into the details. So that was first venture. I'll go into short now. The second venture was something like creative content platform for one-liners only. The name was thewittyshit.com. Um,
Sorry.
so the witty shit. Yeah,
Okay. With this
the name
shit.
involves wittyshit.com. It was viral in the phase of 2012 itself, where the creative content writers were again on Facebook. It was kind of viral thing in those days. 25,000 Facebook likes at that moment was like huge. So founders shut down the platform. I joined them when I joined them as a techie. Then I thought of relaunching the platform. I became the founder for the first time in my career. I relaunched the platform. I redesigned the business model to some extent. I scratch, and a lot of things happened, but I could not generate revenue. I was not the real core of the idea behind creative content, right? I was trying to make business from existing business ideas where I thought I would be able to do that. It
So
went good.
you worked a lot on content, what I believe. Like you said, one-liners and creating this content and all. Now also it's a form of content, like
It is a
the
form of
work.
content, yes.
It's a more of
So yes, life has been revolving something around the content. That's what I now realize also. So when I decided to shut that down, there was no revenue for a long time. For one last experiment I wanted to do in my career, because it was almost 3 years out of college. My all the friends were in settled jobs where they were doing their own travels and international travels and money saving and a lot of things. I was
okay.
still trying to figure out what I'm doing in my career. So I was like, okay, let me do one more experiment. Otherwise, I will go find a job. Okay.
Okay.
So I tried to. I'll talk about this. I had to look for an opportunity, right? Where do I go? What do I build now? I used to play a lot of mobile games. So I was like, there's a case where I don't like ads. Why do I want to see the ads in my games, right? And I
Hmm.
also saw a phase where the brands are not able to connect with the users uh, within a game. So it's like they are advertising, but are they getting out of it, right? The the value brand is getting out of that was like kind of minimal. I was like,
Hmm.
let me design a game where brand is user is engaging with the brand's content, playing with the brand's content. It's like football sponsored by Paytm. Just that. It's a football game, but
Yeah.
the ball it has Paytm written on it, right? Uh, the piano or a puzzle game where the keyword Paytm is puzzled, mixed
Okay.
there. So I tried
Okay.
to create some prototypes from existing open source games from the industry. I downloaded the open source game from GitHub, two games. I customized that to tag a brand's name in that. Uh, then that was my kind of a prototype, right? Open source prototype, hacked for my own use case. Then I tried to show it to the industry leaders at that time, like, this is what I have, I will build this with your help maybe, and you run your campaigns with the help of me maybe. But I think the feedback was like, we can build it much better than ourselves. Why do we need you? Who are you, right? I was like, okay, I'm trying to build it, just that. So it
But
did not
Hari,
go any.
sorry, Hari, that idea that you said, right? Let's say there's a game or there's something that we are looking into, some
Yep.
relatable content, and we get ads. Correct, right? We get ads. Now, though, we have to buy premium or something like that comes up. But then there was just a cross button, or let's say Google Ads, they ask us, is this relevant or not, or close this ad or something. So there were slots and number of views and all where the ads were displayed. Uh, your idea was without those slots in the game components we can include the brands, correct,
Right.
and it would stay with the whole game, let's say, or let's say it can differ. What I just thought, let's say football, and for let's say first 5-10 minutes it would be Paytm, as you said. It can be some X brand. After that the ball color changes and there's another branding logo that is there when you have more goals on
Right.
the other
Right.
side, and it will be fun.
Right.
It is actually great, but that was an ideation phase, and obviously companies can do that. You rather have given that idea freely when you pitched to the founders, as you said. So I felt like that because that idea is very innovative kind of a thing that you have thought of. That's great. Actually that would be more lovable. You don't have to worry about ads and all. But yeah, so then
Right.
what happened,
Right.
like, means what happened next? Like, did they include it, or was it like, how did you
No, so
react?
nobody tried to take interest into that model. I would say my sales and marketing skills, my business skills were missing. I was not able to sell it like, this is $1 million opportunity and you invest like $1,000 and maybe you'll be able to see the revenue like responses. But
Okay.
but I was able to build the structure around what will be required. So I was a builder. I was able to build the structure, but I was not able to sell it.
Got it, got it. But that concept came out of traditional marketing that we do in sports. Let's say Indian
Right,
cricket, more
right.
famous than the Sahara logo that is
And
there,
there was
and the
another, sorry. So there
yeah, please.
was also a trend on in those times. There were other startups which were funded on similar lines by industry investors,
Okay,
right? So I
okay,
was like more confident because somebody's already built it. Now I just need to replicate, right? They have proved it in a way. Maybe
yeah,
they don't exist today, but I was able to kind of reach it alone. So I was like lone warrior at that moment. I was trying to build just that. That was my experience in my career also because I had not worked with a structured organization before that. So that was
got it.
2015 where, so I was also dicey. My family was like, some of my family members were like, dude, are you sure what you're doing with your career? Are you sure where you are going? I was like, okay, I will find something to work on. So interesting thing happened at that moment also. When I was pitching that prototype to investors also, because I was like, invest in something into me. I will build a team and build it, right. Again, I would say my sales were like missing skills. So they were like, since you have been trying since very long time, why don't you work with some of our investing companies and learn what at least is missing in your skill set? So they had seen me pitching since like more than 1 year.
Uh,
So it went good. They gave me a reference and I got an opportunity to work because I was kind of dicey also. Like either give me money or a reference. Like where do I work? Because before that I had not no work experience. My startup experience was not considered by most because dude, who are you? Who you have not never worked with any company before? Like I've built startups, but I don't know. So I joined some organization. It went for almost 3 years. Then I was like, that was the role, right? That role I was kind of stuck in because I had to copy paste a lot of content, which Chat GPT can do like in a quick click today.
okay,
So up into that role, I was felt like stuck. So then I decided to venture into product management because I think I know technology, business side, everything around building a product. And I'm curious every day. Why am I doing this? What are we doing? How is it going to help me? how do I make it better every day? That's my day-to-day hobby, like in my head every day. Right? Now today, so when I decided to venture into product management, I think I'm going into very detailed stuff. Uh, it was difficult again because who are you into product? Why should you get into product? So I applied a lot of opportunities. They were like interviewing but not taking action. Okay, then I tried to change within the organization. That did not work. They did not find me you adding value into that role again. But my product team was like, whenever I'm coming to them with some thoughts anyway, it is going to be about the product they have built, because I went back to them with feedback every day, like, this is somehow can be improved this way. That was my hobby. So, but then I tried to, because I had to go into product, right? I decided to do a certification. I think that
Oh,
helped me launch into product management. My first role wasn't really a product manager. They gave me a role of product manager, but I was only dealing with the very small projects of 2 months and 3 months.
okay,
It was
okay.
so I skipped the rest of my product management journey. Um, I had something in my kitty, in my thoughts, I wanted to talk to you about, because I believe maybe you can ask, you can be the devil for this project I'm working on.
Okay.
So, I'll give you the backstory because this is important for this case. And do tell me how much time do you have from now, because I want to extend it in that way.
Yeah, we can extend it. Let's say 15 minutes as of now from now.
Perfect, perfect. So I'll try to keep it very short. In 2020, the Corona period, right? I joined an organization that was Latto Kids,
Okay.
very early stage kids, ABC rhymes 1 2 3 and ANR learning app, right? I hope you
Okay.
understand Hindi also.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was saying, when I joined that organization in the career phase of my life, I was like, I need to decide where I'm going in 10 years down the line. So I was thinking in those terms. So that education technology sector with the Lattu kids stuck my brain that this is the industry I want to work in for the very long duration, let's say 10 years down the line. And I want to build into this. So I started writing also, because I found my thought process very clearly getting out in a
Yeah.
writing format. So I started writing the very first article, second, third, fourth. It started, idea started developing. So why I want to be into fintech, sorry, education technology sector. Then I joined an organization called Bobble, which called itself a conversation media platform. So now
Okay.
I was like, talking about early stage kids education technology. And I also became a father recently. So I was like, my conversation with my newborn child is going to be very much different.
Correct.
Now, I need to understand this conversation. So the keyword conversation from conversation media platform became my keyword for research. So I started thinking about that in a very deep way. Now everything is a conversation. So I started writing on that topic. Now the education technology pointer is extending into fifth article with the starting topic as everything about conversations. Okay, the first article. Second was, what is a conversation? So I tried to understand the nuances of the definition of the conversation, because there is a interaction between at least two people. There are a lot of, I would say, assumptions. So in the core definitions, the assumptions was missing in, and we all have assumptions in our all day-to-day conversations, right?
Correct.
Today we are talking, we have a lot of assumptions. We are connected into at least the product management domain. I'm assuming that at least you will not abuse me, right? So basic assumptions are there, but they're unsaid. We don't
Yeah.
actually need to talk about that, but they are
Yeah.
there under
Correct.
automatically. That's
Correct.
a and that's also gets defined into product management, because if we know our assumptions about the end users, we get to understand them more. So about conversations. Now that was the second article. Third article was, I think, into I don't remember the subject, but it was again going into the depth of conversations, interactive communication, right? Now, because it is like, if I'm the only person talking, so it's not a communication, it's just a one way, right? Now
Yeah.
two people are talking, it's an interactive communication. There's a give and take, where I try to understand what you're saying, you try to understand what I'm saying, and respond accordingly. So the fourth article was tough conversations. it was interesting also because my mentor in those days was trying to teach me the importance of consistency also. So the tough part, right? The conclusion was the tough is basically just an emotion. If you remove the tough out of the tough conversations, it's not really tough, right? But it needs to be understood because if you and me are talking and I don't understand, it can be tough for you. We cannot talk. It's not going
Correct.
to go anywhere. It's not going to add value to either me or you. It will lose, right? Not it will be not like a best case scenario for both.
Correct.
That tough conversation. There's no tough part. This is just an emotion. So if I'm finding it tough, I'll try to understand the point of view behind what is somebody saying. Right. Now that was tough conversations. Then came my point of life where I wanted to slow down, take things very structurally. So I went for a Vipassana meditation center for almost 10 days, cut off from everywhere from the industry, no phones, no contact, no internet, no friends and family.
What did you mention? Which meditation center?
It's a Vipassana 10 days
That is Dhama,
meditation.
yeah. Dhama, right?
Dhamma, right?
Dhama, yeah, yeah. I know about it.
So I went to that 10 days period. Today I still feel like, I can close my eyes and feel like, I'm into meditation for 5 minutes.
You don't talk with anyone. There's no mobile, and there's a rocky feature where you sleep and then
Right,
meditate, and there's limited meals and all, and it's free of cost, right? I
right,
want to. Means I'd done a research around that. I now I feel like okay, we have some spiritual bent,
You
where we
you wanted to
align.
go for that? You're planning to go there?
I was planning actually, then I dropped it, but now I have to rethink again. I have researched about it. Vipassana
I,
meditation.
I would say define the date of joining that very soon, quickly, maybe next 24 hours.
Okay. Okay.
because I think it's a structural. So no, my fifth article was my conversation with myself.
Okay.
Now,
Oh,
because everything happens around my conversation with myself. If I'm screwing myself, like feeling bad about a lot of things in my head about myself, it's not going to grow. I did that mindset, that conversation will not allow me to grow.
correct.
Right. Now, my conversation with myself at least has to be powerful. I need to be high on life to build from scratch again every day. Right. Now comes the point of why I wanted to tell you this story. So when my child was born, I created this YouTube channel in her name. Grow up with Harita. Harita is her name, my child's
Uh,
name.
nice.
Though I created a channel just to save the videos for free on internet for forever, but then I pivoted from there to like let the world see the growing up journey of my child also, right? I'm also growing up. So when I created that channel, my vision for edtech sector multiplied because now I have the my child where I'm looking at how she's growing up, how I'm training her for very basic things like asking for water. Right? It's like everyday conversation from eyes closed to everything else. So I can feel her growing up. Now, so I had this goal to launch a toys, a merchandise domain brand under her name, Grow Up with Harita, in
Okay.
2 3 years down the line.
Okay.
That was the plan. 2 3 years down the line, basically no clear plan. I don't know if I will do it or not. That was the thought in my head. But
Okay.
I'm thinking like why should I not do it today itself?
Okay.
So I'm redesigning this. I'm actually launching a new project, let's say, because I now understand the importance of consistency also. The YouTube channel is growing in her name. Now it needs a system to help itself. The toys, the domain will push the channels will push the toys, right?
Okay. Okay.
Now the question is, I want to sell toys.
Okay.
I'm the founder of this project, and assume that you are applying for a product manager role with this company.
Okay.
I have this YouTube channel which is growing from scratch. You are the PM who will be hired for this role to take care of, to actually build revenue, to generate revenue in maybe 1 month or 2 months. So I have everything in my head ready. I've created a document, but I'll tell you the brief in short, right? So when I said to people like, this is what I will do. I will sell toys from today.
Okay.
First question comes out to be like, why? What is special about your toys? Why would I buy from toys from you? I tried to do some research, and I have this model ready. Is that so? I will sell toys with the poems. So it's a hathi with the poem of hathi, like Hathi Raja kahan chale ghum, like jo bhi poem hai. In
Okay.
a written booklet format for the kids also. So it's not just the toy, it's not just the booklet, it's the combination of both.
Got
Now
it.
that's my differentiator also. I tried to figure out if industry is already doing it, and I could not find. But anyway, even if they are doing it, I know I will do it better someday. But I don't know. So this was my 3 years down the line project. Now I'm breaking it down into 3 to 6 months project. So I will purchase the, let's say, 100 rupees toy from the industry. I will rebrand it for myself,
Okay.
and I'll print that booklet and will sell it, maybe let's say 500 rupees, for 500 rupees, with a margin of, let's say, 100 rupees per toy, the product.
Okay.
Now I want you to ask me some questions
Yeah.
to figure out the viability or some good things which I may not have thought about in this model.
Cool. So let's say me as a layman,
Sure.
not from the child perspective or a parent perspective, just as
Sure.
a taking this business ahead.
Yeah.
As a layman, I just wanted to clarify the objective of this whole business. Let's say you have selected selling toys along with the associated information. Let's say informative information being a poem, or how the
Right.
child can be more interactive in a way, the conversational way to herself or himself, with the place in hand, that let's say the toys in hand, let's say having the tangible thing, and also reading and relating to it over the mind. That I can understand. But currently what I would see, both the things are available, right? There's nothing like toys are available and the poem is available, which they're reading in books. So you want to join them both to give a, let's say, enhanced memory kind of a thing if they read it and all. That's what I perceive. But if you clarify, if there any other objective of of this merchandise or something, that is a far-sighted objective, like you relate it with something else, or you want to do something more with this and all grow. So what would be the objective of the whole project?
So there are a lot of like the plus points of having this, combination of these things. Core of everything is again coming down to storytelling. The
Okay.
But also a conversation between the parent and the child. So
Got
when I
it.
am trying to teach something to my child, it's a conversation in a very nuanced way. Every day it's a new conversation. Every moment it's a new conversation. But
Correct.
let's say about we say with the toy. So
Okay.
when we are playing with the toy, it's like it's a good game. Now I need to teach a lot of things to the toy. My kids related to the toy.
Got
I
it.
may have so I today still I do that. That is, I open the YouTube channel that where the poem is running. My child is 2 years old and she dances on the music. It's fine.
Correct.
Okay, now I remember those poems. Like too many poems I still remember. Now it's like the game has to be between the collaboration between the parent and the child, right? The storytelling has to be there. There are again a lot of things, right? Now even my child, I gave my child a book when she was 6 months old. That was a game for her. Somebody gave it not intentionally, like you should start learning today, but it was a kind of a birthday gift. Actually 6 months birthday gift somehow, and she started enjoying flipping the pages. It was like a hard card book where it will not even get wasted with the water if it spills, right? But looked at the pictures, and because child kids love the pictures part, it was kind of interesting for her. So when she was 1 year old, she was like able to understand the what is apple, identify that very clearly. Between apple and ball, she was able to identify. It's a story. I need to tell her. Now she's growing up. What is a hathi? What does hathi do? A hathi raja kahan chale? She understand that. but I'm adding a lot of new learning model into that, so that the even parent can read that out story from there. They can teach her there and even start learning reading from there.
Okay, so what I thought about, I captured this bond between parent and child,
Yeah,
and the learning model that you
right,
wanted. What I
right,
perceive is, let's say I want the child to be away from most of the, not to be interacting much on the digital media at
right,
start, rather than having the look and feel of the object and relating more to the informative thing that
right,
is there. Obviously,
right.
that's how it is. The one factor is, the second question that I'm going to ask, if I structure this kind of a thing. For this, the merchandising, and there is obviously a costing part that you are saying. You will buy it, and then you have to figure it out how the structure of the poem would be, like how it will be designed, and the same colors and all the fonts and all, how what is the size and packaging and everything, how it will be sent, the courier cost and all the stuff. But you also stated the YouTube channel as a like a push or the energy or the funnel for this. So how is this YouTube channel? Means I just wanted to know what are the contents in the YouTube channel that will actually fuel the selling of the toys merchandise, which will generate revenue. Obviously, YouTube channel being a side revenue bar. So
Right.
what are the contents in this YouTube channel that you want to give
So,
related to fueling this selling toys?
sure. So I will be selling like whatever needs to be done to sell this. But currently, the channel has got vlogs and my child's daily activities, whatever creatively she's doing. Though my videos have not gone viral yet, I have only 390 subscribers, but I know where I'm going, right?
Cool.
So it's her just vlogs. It's me vlogging with her. It's now I need to also sell toys. So I will talk about the toys. I will even stand with the toy like खिलौने ले लो, खिलौने ले लो. I will do every creative video I can do, right? I can tell stories around those videos. I will tell them how my child is learning with this particular toy, and you can do it for your child also. I'll do everything I can to make it creative, right? Now that's how I'm planning to add value from
The
creative.
later part, yeah, made sense because you teaching your child with the same thing that you want
Right,
the
right.
parents to teach with their child would give a effect, like, yeah, this is how we should do it, and this is the difference. Someone, or
Passive
let's
selling.
say, yeah,
I'm
many.
going into a mode of passive selling.
Yes, so many others who connect with the same would obviously reach out. So those will be like pull-in customers, and
Right,
obviously to the channel, the toy selling activity would be a push product. That's
right.
fine, but this pull-in customers and cohorts has to be defined. Let's say the subscribers that are there, or the connections that you are going to build up. So that would also, and you should have a buy more link kind of a thing that would take to its website. You can create just a website for selling toys. They can choose the combination, and they can
Fantastic.
make their own combinations or own, let's say, selections, and there'll
Okay.
be bundled products and all. What I feel, I'm suggesting
Sorry, sorry,
this.
sorry. Can I request you to play the devil? Some reasons that this business may not work.
Okay, that's a good pivot. Some reasons that business may not work. uh,
I mean, you need to ask me that in a format that I need to be able to think, because this is
cool,
me who is running this, trying to run this experiment as a show.
cool. So
And
let's.
in an ideal case, right, best case scenario and worst case scenario. Worst case is like nothing happens in 3 months, 6 months. Best case scenario, I want to think of actually making 3 lakhs rupees in 3 months. That's my best case scenario I'm thinking of. Now,
Okay, I got it.
yeah,
So my question would be, like, currently the trends, let's say a newborn kid or a kid who's learning in, let's say they are in their pre-primary school education, they are more affiliated or attracted to the reels and the digital market, to the mobile and to the internet, or to the online content, which they are very relate to, and all the peer group also says the same. They joke about it, they play on it, they talk about it. So how would a child, not looking into that and having a physical toy and a poem, which is actually good for us to think about, but for them perspective, why would a parent and child try to make them different from society, though they are every day interacting with the society, the same group of friends in the society, or let's say whatever, in the school and all. So how would they relate to it if someone comes and said, Ki, my father taught me this with this thing in it? People may, this friends may laugh, okay, this is available in the YouTube video, see, you can just see it, you don't have to tell all these things. You don't have to touch an elephant to look and feel of the elephant feeling that you said, right? So why would a child be interested? A parent maybe, I got it. Why would a child be interested and not just discard it and see the YouTube content, rather than when you go to, you go outside or they stay away from you, they can just see the YouTube content to be updated and remain, in this trendy thing that is going on, to have
Right.
this, though it is not that good. But yes, why would a child accept it?
I like your question. I really like the perspective you are trying to give me, and I think I have a strong opinion in that case. So you're saying kids would ignore this toy itself, right?
Correct.
Kids always reject everything they even want. It's like
Correct.
even if my child is thirsty, I'm asking her to drink water, she would say no, and she will still drink it. And I see this every day. So it's basically not the child I need to care about. I need to educate the parent to actually be careful to use it in a way that it helps them as well as the child will reject every day a lot of things, even if the things they need, they are not able to express their needs very well. I understand that every day.
Yes.
I've seen my child is like rejecting to even go for the washroom, and even if she is under pressure. So I've seen that. Although she, so I cannot see that my 2 years old is under pressure, but she just really leaks it. I've seen that. So kids would ignore, they would reject every good thing they need also. So we cannot take care of that, but we can make it more creative for them as well as the parents. So it's the duty of the parent to train the child, right?
Cool. So just a counter question on this.
Yeah.
Let's say that's the duty of the parent. So it's for those parents who spend most of their time with the kids. Like I feel you may be doing at this phase. But let's say the kid goes to school. There's 6 to 7 hours of journey in the school. Then let's say playing with friends and all. Then some cartoons and all. Then parents. Then they eat and sleep. Correct. So majority of the time, if they stay with people who and get acquainted with products and the way how others perceive. Let's say I have a great bat with me, and I am a kid of, let's say, 2 years old. I see a friend who have a vibrant color bat. Let's say my bat is sturdy and
I
I
need
can hit a six
that.
with that. I need that. Correct. I
Yeah.
need that with that use rate. He has it or she has it. I love that. I need that. Though I have the best product, I need that. Correct. So in that phase, ठीक है, kid acceptance, I got it. Kid acceptance. But will the parents, all the parents would devote that much time, with these products, or they will just let the kids, go with the flow as the whole society is
So,
going? That is again a question for a specific cohort who want to enter this journey,
right,
who
right,
want to emphasize on this timings and all, and want to give the
right.
effort for the same.
So this is kind of a vague question. I'll try to address in a way that my current prototype of the model is a very specific to the age group of, let's say, 1 to 3 years, where kids don't go to school, right?
Okay.
Where at least the toy is this, the decision is from the parents.
Okay.
That's my target audience, so I'm trying to be very careful. I want, so if I would need your help. Let's say if I'm trying to hire you, I would maybe ask you, can you help me see the scale? It's like actually making 3 lakh rupees from this model where I'm making 100 rupees per sale in one sale. I want to look at the number of products I can sell and number of ways I would need to sell, because I cannot expect things to go viral tomorrow, right? And to make 100 rupees from each product, I need to maybe, let's say, sell 10,000 products to make 3 lakh revenue profit. But I don't know how to figure it out. I want to think of the feasibility of it. Like, there might be some case that I'm not able to take care of. There is one thing that regulations in the industry country I need to look at, because some regulations might be not really supportive, or might need to have some lot of certifications. But I still want to see. So I think in today we are sitting on the uh, 27th of August. I want to launch the first product in 15 days. So I will be putting this product live at least on my website. I bought the domain name also, grow up with harita.com, harita.com. But today I don't expect, I don't even want the things to go viral. I want to take it slow in a way that I understand things. It should not go out of hand, right? Although I'm happy to get it viral, like getting 10,000 orders on the day one, which is of course not expected. But
Uh, yeah, sure. So I'm not. That is great. Like the product pricing rate that matters. You don't have a standard product. First of all, you have a combination of other products whose average price you say maybe 100 INR. That's it. You don't have a customer segment defined currently. Who can be your customer segment? Let's say someone. I'm giving an example. They don't have a child, but they want to have your product. Will you say no to them, or will you
no,
ask them before? Obviously not, right? So that has to be defined first rather than going into that 3 lakhs. And I am not sure why that 3 lakhs came into mind. How is that figure? I will tell it X, because the product cohort, that is the target segment, number of people in the target segment, that is the let's say you're targeting around pan India of age group this, and how many people currently are present in those target group, and who out of them whom you want to explore, let's say the metros, or let's say tier 2 tier 3, how you want to start your journey slowly. So that would give, and their purchasing capacity, right, for this, whatever it is, and the shipping cost and all that would be a one thing. That is the pricing about your products. You have to keep a standard price, or else you have to give an average price of all the club products within a range, let's say 100 to 150 or 100 to 200 max. Not also that, let it should be in the 10 to 20 difference range. That would actually not bother all your customers who are there. So from, let's say, a price point X, you want to reach 3x or 4x currently. How do you do that is, uh, if the business has kicked off, let's say you are selling 100 rupees as now and you want 10,000 orders. For that you need to have a proper website, because this will be marketed through online medium, not
right.
through pom and pop stores and other things. So I believe your YouTube channel should be connected to a like there should be a uh, push button for a website. That would be there. There'll be a clickable link where all your combinations that are different, let's say you have 15 sets or 20 sets of products as of now, that should be there. There should be sample copies available where they can see, and the videos implemented on this website, so that the parent can see and think, yeah, this would relate to my child. Let's say you are saying it in Hindi or English or any vernacular languages, because in southern part of India that would not work. The framework that you are giving, Hathi with this, okay, they have their
Right.
vernacular,
Indeed.
each state has a correct in
Right.
the vernacular languages. So that you have to think of before going into this, mostly into the pricing and the revenue perspective. If we can structure this, that this is my community and this is the purchasing capacity or the power of this community and how much I can extract it, then we can look into the competitors in the market and our price points and everything. That would actually simplify and to grow the network, what I
Oh,
feel.
right, right. I mean, I was like, in my head, I was trying to ask myself, what is that one question I need to answer today? It's like either the margins or the process I need to follow. I'm like getting mixed thoughts in my head. So, uh, but yes, I'm going to launch it with a minimal investment of let's say 2,000 rupees. I will put it live. Let's say how it goes. I'll start talking about it in maybe YouTube videos on the channel. But will also talk about this with the people like you who are joining me on live sessions, so that I can brainstorm and iterate from there. I think it's a good combination of the processes of this conversation will be helping my project. I will be talking about that, doing that, and using all this, that I can. Right. Awesome.
Cool.
So although technically really looking for someone to join me to help me with the maybe online selling, because I've not sold anything on the internet yet in my career. I've not scaled things from zero to, let's say, actually selling, because I've worked with organizations which were doing some business. It took me some time to join them. It took me some time to understand. Then I was like moving out from there suddenly. I don't know why. But yes, there is a lot of desire inside to build something from scratch, also, if possible, or maybe work with someone to uh, think of it in a very long term perspective.
Correct.
So yeah, my long-term project is now very kind of clear to some extent. I'm kind of still dicey if I should go for an opportunity, product management opportunity, if I get someone, because I understand industry is running short of the opportunities right now also. There is a lot of chaos. There are a lot of people looking for opportunities like me. So rather, I would invest my energy into building something so that I can maybe look into it for a long-term perspective also. So yeah, maybe we can conclude, or maybe you got something to share for the team, for yourself, or maybe
Uh,
for 30 days, 60 days of version of yourself, right?
Okay, no, first of all the best to this project that you have started, and God's grace be there. Let the toys flow in India, and I would be happy to connect offline also with this project. That's my and my takeaway from this. Next, about product management. If I say, as you said, there were many things like interactive sessions, conversational, ed tech, and all. And anywhere, as you feel like you were a web developer, as you said earlier, correct? And post that you into development field, everyone can define their work in a day. You can
Right,
put a commit and you know how many commits you have done, correct? Or let's say someone into sales, they can show an Excel sheet with the revenue they have generated,
right,
correct? Someone as a if I go into marketing, they can show this ad campaigns brought this much customers in, let's say the user base increased, and this period they can show everything analytics. But for product management, it's a very thin line to show how much effort you have given in a day, because most of your work is about thinking. You have thought, you cannot put it as a subtask on Jira that you have thought this karke, fine. So this is something I want to say, that though on day in day out you may feel that okay, what I'm doing is something like you feel good at a time, and then you feel okay, fine, so this I cannot justify, or this I cannot quantify, rather, the thoughts, right? So that shouldn't be there. We should go with the flow, because this is something best which is giving us many huge edge cases to think on a day-to-day basis. And I look forward myself in next let's say a year, I'll be sharpening my PM skills, hovering around many different products, hopefully products outside fintech domain also. So that would be what I'm looking for. And to the audience, all the best on whatever they are doing. Just keep on going. That's it.
perfect, Nishant. Thank you for joining. Uh, Thanks for the candid conversation. Also, sharing your mistakes you made in your career. Also, so it was fun. I would look forward to connecting with you also. And for the audience, I think I will be having two more sessions in next 2 3 days. From after this month, I will be probably focusing more on the project part, but I will keep these conversations going at least till 30. Sure.
Same here, Hari. Yeah, thanks everyone.
See ya.
Bye.
Good day. Goodbye. Happy Monday. Early.
Yeah. Happy
In advance.